Alright guys, I'm back at Adrenaline Dyno right now. I'm with the lead calibrator with OTT again, and we have a TRD Pro, which is the hybrid platform. We're going to be putting it on the dyno today to see how much horsepower and torque this tune's going to make for the hybrid platform. Now, if you haven't seen my first video, I recommend you go ahead and watch that video because this is going to give you a lot of good information on what this tune is and what you can expect for the gas models, but also what the offering is from OTT. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend checking out that video. Now let's go ahead and get this TRD Pro inside and on the dyno. Alright guys, so we just got done on the stock tune with the TRD Pro. Let's see what kind of numbers it's making. So this blue line here represents just the gas model. This is the non-hybrid model. And then the green and red represent the two runs that we just did on the TRD Pro. So this is the hybrid. So you can see on the stock tune, the TRD Pro is making around 294 horsepower and around 426 foot-pounds of torque. So you can see here right around 3,000 RPMs. This blue line represents just the gas model, and it's making around 327 pound-feet of torque. And this red line represents the TRD Pro, which is the hybrid, making 423 foot-pounds of torque. So there's a pretty big gap there, but I drove this 2 weeks ago and just didn't really translate to the road because this truck weighs so much more than my truck. So on paper, it makes a lot more pound-feet of torque and horsepower, but it just doesn't really translate on the road. So I'm really excited to see what numbers this makes when we get the OTT tune on here and compare that to how it felt with the stock tune. Alright guys, so we just loaded the OTT tune. This is stage 1. Let's take a look at the numbers here. So if you remember the stock tune, this is the red number here. It was making 293 horsepower, now making 333 horsepower. If we look at the pound-feet of torque, stock was making 425. We're now making 453 pound-feet of torque. Now if we take a look at the curve, when does this really come on? Well, right at the beginning. Look at this. The blue represents the tune, red is the stock. So right when you get on it, guys, it's there all the way through the power band. So that looks really smooth. I'm excited to see how this actually translates as we drive this thing. So here's another interesting look, guys. We're going to compare the stock tuned hybrid, which is red, to the tuned gas model, which is the green. So you can see the tuned gas model is making more horsepower than the stock tuned hybrid. And torque, the stock hybrid makes more torque, but the gas tuned also makes a respectable 371 foot-pounds of torque. So there you have it, guys. I mean, the stock gas model is getting pretty close to hybrid levels here. And I think with the reduced amount of weight in just the gas model compared to the hybrid, on the road, it actually fills pretty quick. Here's another interesting look if you guys want to see both trucks tuned. So we have the hybrid model and the gas model. Both trucks tuned with stage 1. The hybrid's making 333 horsepower, and the gas model is making 306 horsepower. Torque on the hybrid, 453, gas model, 380 pound-feet of torque. So if we look at the curve here, you can see that the hybrid model really takes over at around 2,500 RPMs, giving you that little bit more torque there with the electric motors. So there you have it, guys. These numbers are really impressive, and so far I'm loving the OTT tune. All right, so I'm back in my truck now. I actually didn't have time to drive the TRD Pro, and that's okay because I have a decent amount of seat time behind my truck, which has the OTT Tune Stage 1 on it, and guys, I'm loving it so far. I did, however, drive that same TRD Pro about 2 weeks ago without the tune on it, and I really wanted to compare how the hybrid platform compares to just the gas model, because on paper, the hybrid has 465 pound-feet of torque compared to 317 that comes stock. And so, guys, that's a 46% increase in torque. And so I was expecting a 46% increase in the way that the truck feels and the way that it drives. And I just didn't get that. I would say maybe I got like a 10% increase in the way that the torque feels. But don't get me wrong, I mean, both are really great. The hybrid is great. Gas model is great as well. Now, my truck with the OTT Tune Stage 1 on it is actually quicker than the stock tuned TRD Pro. I did a 0 to 60 in the TRD Pro, and I got 8.47 seconds. Now, when I did it in my truck with the tune, I got it down to 7.93 seconds. So I would expect that you would see the same type of improvement with the OTT tune. So if you're on the fence between getting a hybrid and the gas model, I say get the gas model, get yourself the OTT tune Stage 1, and this thing's gonna perform great, guys. I mean, you're not gonna have to sacrifice the underseat storage because the batteries are not there. You're gonna have less weight. So there's just less compromises by getting the gas model, and then you get all the benefit of the OTT tune with the extra horsepower and torque. Now, if you're dead set on getting the hybrid because you want all the horsepower and torque you can get, hey, I respect that. I just think that you should really look into getting the OTT tune because it's just gonna bring it up another notch. Whereas if you get the non-hybrid model, you know, the OTT brings it up to where I think, you know, the hybrid model is stock. Whether you have the gas or the hybrid model, guys, you can't go wrong with the OTT tune. You saw the performance numbers, they're there, and guys, I'm loving it so far. So to wrap up this video, guys, in the coming weeks, these tunes are gonna be available for both the gas and hybrid model, so be sure to get in contact with your local tuner. I'll put a link down in the description if you guys wanna find a tuner that's close to you. If you made it this far, please drop me a like, a subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.